to Tabula Rasa, bitches.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
My name is Allie. My pronouns are she, her.
My name is Nick, and my pronouns are he, him.
And welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of Tabula Rasa, bitches. We're delighted you're here.
In Tabula Rasa, bitches, your co-hosts discuss and dissect Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that bonded them together so many years ago. In this episode, we will discuss Season 2, Episode 8, The Dark Age, and this episode is yet another super special one because we are joined by a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of my fiance's, and now a dear friend of Allie's, and that delightful friend is Phil Beechler.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. I don't know if did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes, actually,
Did I?
shockingly enough, most people do not.
Yikes. Okay, I was.
But also,
nervous for
you've
that. I
known
usually
me for
do
a few
phonetics,
years, so...
Well, I've been friends with this chick we just crossed our 7-year anniversary, and I had to be like, Jordan, I need you. She was a guest host a few episodes ago, and I was like, I need a phonetic. My dog is groaning on the ground. Phonetic pronunciation of how to pronounce your last name, because I can't do it. I still can't do it. So, whatever.
So
that was
funny.
a long way of saying that. Philip. Introduce yourself.
Hello.
What are your pronouns? Where do you live? Tell us about yourself. Walk us through who you are and give folks a glimpse of why I love you so much.
Sure. So my name is Phil. Pronouns are he, she, they. I am a non-binary royalty, or a member of the non-binary royalty, and I currently work as a data analyst. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, with my stunning husband and our roommates. But yeah, I am just a queerdo. I love everything nerdy, pop culture, fun. I listen to more podcasts than God.
Love it.
And yeah, I'm here to just have fun. I'm really excited to be here.
Yay. And for our listeners, I know you just told me this before we hit record. What is your history with Buffy? When did you start watching? How far have you gotten? Tell us.
Sure. So I started, I guess, earlier last year. I started grad school and I needed something as background noise. And so I threw it on. It quickly became not background noise. So now I've watched
It does
through,
that.
yeah, very, very quickly. I mean, I knew I loved Sarah Michelle Gellar because of Cruel Intentions, but this is just like a whole different level of just like perfection. But anyways, yeah, I've gone through now, I think, Season 2, Episode 11. When we were talking about what episode
Sweet.
to watch, I ended up just kind of keep going. So,
Oh, good. Good.
Ooh, so you just finished Ted. Love it. Okay. Good to know.
yeah, I'm really excited to see where this keeps building. It seems like the world is just like expanding more rapidly than I would have ever known. Looking in.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm all on board. It's great.
Yay. I love that.
Well, welcome to the Buffy fam. We're so happy you're here. Do you have any hot takes so far? I was going to ask if you have predictions, but I think with all the spoilers out there, I don't know if predictions are right. But any I don't know, any thoughts so far? What do you think?
Sure. I think my hottest take is that I really don't like Xander. And that Giles is very hot. Like, oh my God.
Oh,
he is so smart and so
yes.
fine.
Yeah, that's definitely a prevailing opinion. We are all Giles fans.
One
for
that I wouldn't
sure.
have had when I watched it through the first time as a kid, but now, yeah.
Yeah, I think-
Giles is a dad.
Mhm. Well, and especially once
Mhm.
I'd heard him sing. So Anthony Stewart actually has an album out there somewhere, if you can find it, and he has a lovely voice. So
I will
Well,
find
I
that.
mean, I guess, and people. Well, also for anyone who's a fan of Repo the Genetic Opera, he is also a main character in that. Except he is very not Giles. He is frightening.
Wait, was it the remake? Like the 2008-ish, 9-ish version? Or
Yeah. The one with Alexa Vega
Okay, I need to rewatch
and
that
Paris
again.
Hilton. Yeah,
I
he
do
plays
not remember
Alexa
her in
Vega's dad, the Repo Man.
Okay.
Yeah, you should watch it again because
That is
he,
another movie that you
especially
introduced
now
me
that
to,
you've seen
Allie.
him as Giles. Yeah, I love seeing actors in like super different characters because I mean, like A, shows their range, and B, it's just like, what, Giles? What are you doing? Stop cutting people up and puppeting their dead bodies. What's wrong with you? So it's very cool. Awesome.
Okay. So we're fans of the Xander slander. Good.
You are.
Me and you.
You're a fan.
Me
You're a
and
fan.
Phil are fans. Allie,
And
there isn't a whole lot of it that I have for this episode. Phil, maybe you do.
That's true. Not for this. Shouldn't be for this episode. He doesn't have a lot of screen time for this episode.
I feel like Cordelia
okay,
got more
good.
lines than he did. So
Kinda, yeah.
As she
Yeah,
should.
that's a good point.
As she always should.
That's true. I mean, I don't hate Xander, but I will go to bat for Cordy any day. Cool. So I am sort of interested in any predictions you have, or like where you think this might be going. Or actually, also something I'm interested in is anything that has surprised you about the series. Like you said, you're very immersed in pop culture and stuff, so I'm sure you had heard of it. So is there anything that surprised you once you actually started watching it yourself?
So a lot of these actors I was familiar with from other projects, specifically Allison Hannigan, How I Met Your Mother. Like going from Willow to this, it's just I can see kind of the through line of her little ticks as an actress, but also like the breadth that she's gotten to do. I really, really enjoy that because that How I Met Your Mother is such a different entity, different beast, and also a fun show. But like, I don't know. I just
not
really
nearly
love
as grounded as Buffy.
No, nowhere near. But I just really liked seeing younger versions of people that I knew outside from other projects, and them still having like that charisma, that star power. That it's like, oh, of course you went on to do more things. Like you're incredible. I mean, Seth Green is great too in this. I'm keep focusing on people alone, but like prediction wise, I don't have any idea of where it can go because the show has surprised me of where it's gone. Specifically, like
love that.
Does that, yeah.
Like the writing is surprisingly deep for a show that, like, as a kid, I was like, oh, it's just you're killing people and stabbing or whatever, and it's like, oh no, this is actually about contemplating death and a whole bunch of other things that like they're queer subplots and like just things that I wouldn't have caught had I watched it just as a kid. And now I feel like I get a better appreciation for something that feels like fleshed out art as opposed to just a fun stabby show. So, which it is. It is also a fun stabby show.
I kind of took it for granted for a long time just how good I had it with the show as high quality and as well written as Buffy. I didn't quite know how much it stood out from its contemporaries until I was at a convention and her mom, Joyce Summers, Christine Sutherland, was interviewed, or she was on a Buffy panel, and one of the things she said was she was so excited to get it because it actually had good writing. Television at the time, it was not the high quality medium that we have right now, where they tell these long, complex, basically 10 episode movies. So at the time, she was just like, I'm just excited to have like an actual character and good writing instead of the other fluff sitcom stuff.
And
I
Phil,
can definitely see
that point that like there's things that as you're watching now, you may not have noticed when you were younger. That's something Allie and I have talked about too. I think that's one of our favorite parts about Buffy is that you can rewatch it and take different things each time. We might be a tad biased because we have a Buffy podcast, but spot on. We couldn't agree with you more.
So far, this podcast has just helped us confirm everything we've ever thought about Buffy.
I mean, why not confirm your biases? It's art. It's subjective. It's more fun,
It's true. It's true.
We talked about that during Halloween. I found some evidence to support something that I already believed, and I dug into it deeper. And Allie didn't agree with me, and it was great.
Such a great episode. Yeah.
That is a very good one.
Yeah. You have your opinions, and I suppose you're entitled to them.
Allie, do you want to kick us into our episode summary?
I would be delighted. Okay, gang, as usual, we'll do our best to avoid spoilers beyond this episode, but today we'll discuss this episode, The Dark Age, spoilers and all. So, it's late at night in the Sunnydale library, and Buffy is driving Giles crazy with her workout beats. Outside, a man is frantically looking for Giles, but as he is banging on the library door, a zombie woman strangles him to death before falling to the ground and melting? Becoming goo? Something like that. Police questioned Giles the next day as the dead man was carrying a paper with Giles' name and address. When Giles sees the body, he immediately recognizes the man as a friend from his past, 20 years ago. Buffy becomes worried about Giles when he begins acting strangely, missing his watcher duties, staying in and drinking alone. Never good. She finds Ethan Rayne, who owned the Halloween shop, skulking in the library. Ethan is looking for Giles and references Eyghon, a demon that Giles, Ethan, and other friends experimented with when they were rebellious kids. Eyghon has come back to kill all of Giles' old gang, and only he and Ethan remain. After a scuffle in the library, unbeknownst to the Scoobies, Eyghon jumps into Jenny's body. The possession in Jenny grows stronger, but Willow's plan saves her. They trick Eyghon into jumping into Angel, who fights him off with his own inner demon. Ethan has run off, and although everyone is technically safe, Jenny is shaken and seems to have lost trust in Giles. Shout out to Buffy Guide, from which this summary was adapted.
And to Allie for editing it, as always.
I do what I can.
I'm just going to jump in.
Do it.
So the stressed out man, we start out, very stressed out man. He's very sweaty, frantically looking for Rupert Giles.
I noted that as well.
Yeah, he does not look good.
No, yeah, he has, which is strange because it's like I would classify it as a power walk that he is. He has clearly.
But he's being pursued.
Though.
He's being followed.
True, very scary. What do I know? I have never been pursued by a zombie woman.
Thank your lucky stars.
But he has told some directions to the library, and yeah, he's banging on the door. The door is locked, and he turns around, and there's a lady who has had better days there.
Yes.
She we cut to inside the library. Buffy's jamming to her workout.
That 90s step aerobics.
I found a fun fact about the music. From
what, the music?
Yeah, isn't it?
What's
that the
Prodigy? I don't
band,
know.
isn't it? I don't know. I didn't look it up, but I was like, I recognize this. I definitely danced this in the 90s.
I love that. No, I don't know.
Well, this is the first question of the episode for Phil and Allie.
Okay.
Giles has some feelings about Buffy's music choice. He says, I know music. Music has notes. This is noise. And Buffy's like, no, this is what I'm working out. This is what I need. I need a beat to do my
I'm aerobicizing. I must have a beat.
What is y'all's workout music? Or Phil, maybe what is your workout podcast?
I've actually worked out to this one quite a few times. So it's
I'm
actually
honored.
the perfect length for a bike ride. I do like 1.25 speed, so I can get my good 40 minutes in and then skedaddle. But if I do music, it sounds like
you were talking about the podcast. You listen to this podcast.
Yeah, our podcast, Nick.
I thought you meant you listened to this music. Oh, Phil. Oh.
You guys are entertaining. It helps.
Oh, thanks. I have a similar feeling. Not, I don't listen to our podcast, but I prefer to be distracted. So, and I have a workout video. I do center, and so I usually put on Netflix or something. Sometimes like some anime or whatever show I am currently binging. Anything that will grip my attention away from how much my body is screaming.
Amen.
Yeah. But when I did go to the gym, I would listen to Fits and the Tantrums is really good. Any kind of like party 80s mix is excellent. Anything boppy that I can like sing along to. All good things.
If I'm doing music,
Yeah.
it's definitely like gay workout music. It's got a lot of dancey stuff because I need to be distracted.
Shut
just
the
like
fuck
you
up.
said.
I was just gonna say I have Spotify playlists specifically like titled like gay workout jams, and they're all
That does not surprise me at all.
Oh, that's funny.
They're probably
I mean-
exactly what you picture. I love that.
I like this
So
quote.
I get.
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I get looking for a teacher at a school, but why would you count on him still being there this late at night? It seems like it's pretty late. It just feels weird that he's walking around.
Yeah,
I
dude
think
lives
that-
at
Anyway.
school and everybody knows it.
But this
The
guy
J-
hasn't seen him in 20 years. Why would he think that? I don't know.
You go, Phil. I talked over you. There's like a
Oh.
gap when you start. Yeah. You go.
I was just gonna say, it seemed like the janitor was pointing to the library just kind of out of fear for his life, in the sense that like, oh hey,
Yeah.
you're obviously in distress.
Sure.
I want none of this in my life. Like, please go.
Yeah, totally. Well, and like it makes sense that the janitor would know that like, ugh, yeah, it takes forever for that guy to fucking leave, so I have to wait till he's gone to clean the library. So it makes sense that the janitor would know, but why would this guy like even come to the school? But anyway. Also, this is an episode another one of those episodes that I feel like I've barely seen.
Oh, really? I feel like I've seen
Yeah.
this one a fair amount. Maybe for reasons we'll.
Once
Dude,
we
so
got so based on the title, I thought it was a different episode, and then once we got going, and once I saw this dude in the pile of goo, I was like, okay, yep, I get this one. This is where we find out that like Giles had a bad boy streak for a time. But yeah, the title definitely has like nothing to do with the episode, which is weird.
What's his dark age?
I guess, but like. I don't know. I feel like they could have come up with a better title that went better with the episode. I don't know.
I have this quote from Giles. Giles says, wonderful. You work on muscle tone while my brain dribbles out of my ears. And the reaction I had to that quote was, yes, absolutely, Giles. That is how that's going to work.
Yeah.
She who is exercising gets to choose the music. You get up and do what she's doing, and then you can listen to whatever freaking like
100%.
symphony you want to.
Yeah, whatever gets you through the workout, for sure. Yeah. I feel like there could have been some compromise. Like, she could have, like, turned it down, like, a couple notches. But, like, yeah, he needs to shut up because she's here. She's doing the work. Give her some slack.
Well, it's a pretty big library too. Like, just move. You could move to another section and be just
Also true. So he could go to his office.
Yeah.
That's true. Good point. I will say that zombie makeup was really good. I mean, I guess she's demon zombie makeup, whatever. The special effects makeup was really good. We get real up close in that.
I actually had a question about that for you guys. So I know that like when Eyghon possesses the host, it deteriorates the body. Do you think that's why they patchy? Because I wasn't sure if it was
Ooh.
like supposed to be zombie-esque because they're like decaying or something, but the whole turning into
I think
goo.
it's a bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's part their body disintegrating and part them becoming more and more Eyghon. Because you'll see, like, there's a really lovely transition that we see with Jenny where we see it, like, pop up on her skin, but her eyes are still her. And then later we see she's almost like, she's basically completely different. And the voice changes and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's maybe a bit of both.
Girl gets ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we referenced the question we have about it in the episode intro, but Deirdre we find out her name is Deirdre, zombie lady.
Deirdre.
Deirdre. Oh,
Deirdre.
Sorry, thank you. I will keep making that mistake. So keep
Super
correcting me.
British name, Deirdre.
Deirdre.
It's probably still spelled the same as Deirdre, but they say Deirdre.
Deirdre. Okay, thank you for the accountability, Allie. Deirdre strangles Philip, and then as Philip dies, she lays on the ground, and I don't know what the verb is here. If it's melts, if it's gooifies,
I think
Or-
gooifies.
gooifies.
Gooification. I think so. I don't know if
Okay.
that's an official term, but I think that is the closest.
it reminded me a little bit of this might be a throwaway reference, but Senator Kelly in X-Men in the first one in 2000, where he just like
yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That is exactly what this looks like. For anybody who has seen X-Men but hasn't seen this episode, yep, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah, that is. Yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Phil. So there's kind of a montage of music and images and tattoos and a really ugly bitch. And then Giles kind of awakes with a start, and we see that he's been having a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we've seen Giles' apartment, Giles' bedroom.
That's true. Giles' PJs.
Giles' PJs, true.
No one's surprised that he wears stripy old man pajamas.
And then at the school, Buffy and Willow are playing a nice game of Anywhere But Here. Phil, if I am the worst person ever with pop culture. So as a pop culture guru, Allie, you're really good at pop culture too. I had to look up all of these people that they're referencing. So Buffy wants to be on the beach having her feet rubbed by Gavin Rossdale.
Yeah,
who was in the band Bush. I don't know what that is. Willow is in Italy. She ends up being sat in a cafe with John Cusack eating ziti. I do know who
I
that
definitely knew John Cusack. I wrote that down. I'm like, excellent choice, Willow. Excellent choice.
Oh, especially
and Xander is in the classic, as it turns out he always is, Amy Yip at the Waterside Park. Did not know who Amy Yip is, but apparently she's a sex symbol in Asia, which good for her.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't know who Amy Yip was. I looked that one up as well. She was one of the leading sex symbols of Hong Kong cinema in the late 1980s and early 1990s. I'm reading directly from Wikipedia. Yip is best known for her roles in Hong Kong Category 3 films such as Sex and Zen and Erotic Ghost Story. I may have to look those up. Sex and Zen is the highest grossing Category 3 movie in the history of Hong Kong box office. And what is Category 3 film, you ask? Well, in strict legal terms, it is one forbidden to any viewer under the age of 18. The classification was created in 1988 with the passing of Hong Kong's film censorship law. There was a government censorship body prior to 1988, but it had no legal power to censor films. So there you go. Xander, we find out, is a fan of foreign films, especially with hot ass-kicking Asian ladies, which, I mean, fair. Those movies sound pretty cool.
That kind of tracks, though.
It does. It definitely tracks for him.
Phil, I need your analysis on these pop culture items.
They make sense for the time, for sure, when this was released. I mean, Amy Yip, I knew because of my dad. So I'm just gonna leave that there. And Gavin Rossdale, I mean, he married, I think Gwen Stefani.
One point.
Yeah. So they were huge.
She popped
at
up
one
when
point.
I quickly Googled him.
And
I think it really, like you said, it really tracks for these characters.
Yeah, John Cusack was kind of nerdy, but like sexy and a little sultry. I'm like, yeah, Willow, I can see that. He's still that way. So go off, sis. I love it.
Yeah. He was the sweet, good boy. But sometimes had like a little bit of an edge. So like, but not so much that like the good girl would feel uncomfortable. Like just like accessible edge. I say as a huge fan of John Cusack myself, and I can definitely see Buffy drooling over like rock stars and stuff like that. So it all definitely makes sense. Yeah. And then they all start talking about, do you think they all see Giles walking into school and they're like, oh, do you think Giles ever played Anywhere But Here? Do you think Giles ever like didn't want to go to school? And they're all talking about like kind of your stereotypical, oh, adults were never our age, blah blah blah. I think his diapers were tweed. Something very classic about overestimating adults' youth.
I mean, this is later in the episode, but young Giles could totally get it. He was that leather jacket. I was like, you would not say that if you saw that picture.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think this episode, one of the big outcomes of this is that they definitely see Giles in a very different light. A light where he once had an earring, which worked for him in a very like Billy Idol kind of way.
And I'm sure Giles with an earring will never come back ever. They walk inside. Buffy's wearing a snakeskin top, which is a choice.
Yeah. That was a fashion of the 90s that does not need to come back.
I can't say anything against Buffy or Sarah Michelle Gellar, so that's where my observation is going to end.
It was against the 90s, not against Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Okay, fair enough.
Buffy was a product of her time, like anybody else.
You do not have to be slayed, Allie. Good.
Thank you.
Giles is like, tonight's very important. Business. And it turns out that a medical transport is delivering a monthly supply of blood to the local hospital.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting exchange between the two of them. Giles says, I'll bring the weaponry. Buffy says, I'll bring the party mix. And then, which is hilarious. And then Giles says, just don't be late. Okay, sassy. I'm going to need you to put on a happy face here, Garfield.
I love it. But then, and she says, have I ever let you down? And he says, do you want me to answer that or should I just glare? Which I think is an excellent response. I feel like we have all done that to our respective significant others, where they say something ridiculous and you're like, all right, do I dignify that with an answer?
Sometimes Paul just knows when I take a pregnant breath before responding.
Yeah, they sense it.
So Giles and Jenny have a little bit of an exchange here, and Willow goes, feel the passion. And I just had a lot of feelings then, but we learn that Xander has to attend remedial computer classes that are going to be tutored in the computer lab that Saturday, and he's not stoked about it. What did Phil? You're a computer queen. What are they teaching high schoolers in that remedial computer class?
I have no idea. I would guess something to do with like remedial spreadsheets or something, because that time in the 90s, like essentially what you could do is send basic email, you could type up basic documents, you could also destroy people's computers by using Control-Alt-Delete in the right succession, and not destroy them, but like delete everything from them. And it was a fun prank people used to play on each other.
Sounds hysterical.
Yeah, my computer science teacher in high school used to think it was hilarious. So he was like, yeah, my buddy has been studying all night, and we just walk up, Control-Alt-Delete, delete, and it's like, boom, everything gone. All night's work. Don't do that. It's horrible.
That's definitely one of those. I guess it's funny if it's not you, but like, I don't know. I've written a few papers, and I can only imagine the agony of finding out that happened to you.
No, I would withdraw from the class. I'm not doing that assignment.
There's there are times like when instead of programming into a computer, you'd have to punch holes on basically a note card and have to keep them in order for it to run the mathematics to compute what you're trying to do. And they'd be like 70, 80, 100 cards, and people would just knock them over to be mean. You have to reassemble your code. Yeah, people were awful. Computer science nerds have not always been nice.
My parents about this. My parents are both computer engineers. They studied computer engineering in college and stuff like that. They have their masters. I wonder if any of them ever, because my mom would talk about like late nights at the computer lab and all these things, and I wonder if they ever played pranks on that. All right, I will report back with info from Bruce and Julie if they were ever victims of these pranks or pulled these pranks themselves.
I will report that my computer science teacher wasn't always a nice guy. So,
well, yeah, nice guys don't nice delete people. Your paper. Or maybe they didn't know all nice people. But I love that Xander is like, who are these schlubs who have to get remedial comp sci? And Jenny's like, so see you after school. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And I love Cordelia goes, oh, you got a little schlub on your shoe there. Or Buffy, I think that's Buffy. Buffy says, you got a little schlub on your shoe there.
Yeah, it was good. Giles and Jenny walk away. They're having this adorable exchange about a book that Giles loaned Jenny, and Jenny's like, "Oh yeah, it was so interesting. I had to dog ear every single page." And
Unkind.
Then it was then I just had to underline everything, and then damn it, my coffee spilled all over it, and I just can't read anything. And Giles says that was a first edition, and she
Rude.
says, "I'm lying. I just like to see you squirm."
Yeah.
Squirm is a little bit of a gross word to me, but cute
Really?
exchange. It was hot. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
The way that she says it is a very specific connotation. Yeah. I love her quote. Because she says, "Did anyone ever tell you you're a bit of a fuddy-duddy?" And Giles says almost exclusively, she says, "Did anyone ever tell you you're a sexy fuddy-duddy?" It's very cute. She's very good at flirting. I should have been taking more notes growing up from Jenny Calendar to flirt.
One of my notes about this little exchange was that Jenny is giving very good horny energy. She's obviously very ready for it, but
Oh, yeah.
she's not laying it down too
Yep.
thick. It's just enough.
Yeah, for sure. She threads the needle.
just enough to not scare off little prude, innocent Giles, who may maybe not be as innocent as we once thought.
But definitely enough to be absolutely clear about her intentions, which I love.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He's
No doubt.
picking up what she's putting down.
Yeah.
So they kiss in front of students, and Jenny says, "I'll see if I can make you squirm." Talking about, I just love this forward, horny energy from this lady. Get what you want, girl. I love this.
Yup. Yeah, an excellent example of opposites attracting. They couldn't both be fuddy-duddies. That would never work. No clothes would ever come off.
So they part ways. Giles heads into the library. I noticed as he closes the library door heading in that there's this little stand thing, and Sunnydale High apparently has a hacking club, which is pretty cool to me.
Interesting.
But Phil is giving a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. There are police in the library, and it turns out they're there because a dude was killed. He was clearly heading to Giles, and they're talking, and Cordelia comes in and interrupts them, and just is peak Cordelia here.
It's so hard not to take down this entire conversation. But I love as soon as she sees that there are cops there, she goes, "Oh, can you help me get out of this total bogus ticket? It was a one-way street. I was going one way." And then Giles tried to get her attention. Cordelia says, "Why is everyone always screaming my name? I'm not deaf." Cordelia. Oh, I love you.
I'm just obsessed with this through line that Cordelia is a terrible driver.
That's true.
Phil,
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
I just noted that if they were doing Emmys for comedy the same way they do now, then she would have so many. I can take a hint. Wait, what's the hint? I was just perfect delivery, perfect line.
Yes. That's a really good point. I mean, in general, Buffy was overlooked for the Emmys with 2 exceptions. But yeah, best supporting character role, oh, she totally would have had that. Absolutely. She does have some very excellent timing.
So Giles goes to the morgue. He identifies the body.
Mm-hmm.
The body is very gross and purple, I will say.
As bodies are wont to be.
And he's very bruised. He did not... I don't know. I haven't seen a naked dead body lately, so I wouldn't... Or just a dead body in general. Sorry, this is a weird context that I'm adding on top of it. Whatever.
Nick being coy, dropping in lately.
There's an interesting tattoo on the guy's arm. And
yeah.
Giles clearly knows more than what he's letting on.
That's a pretty sick tattoo. For a moment, I was like, I should get that tattoo. But only a moment.
Might have a demon after you, Allie.
You never know. Maybe I am the demon. You don't know. So we identify the body. We get to the hospital where there's a blood delivery happening, and I had the comment, this is when we see Angel getting blood. And Buffy also has the comment, all's well that ends with cute ER doctors, I always say. You're not wrong, Buffy.
Cute ER doctors who are also vampires. I am
Well, yeah, that was before.
a bit biased that I have a
To
thing for
doctors?
doctors. I do like doctors. I would
Sure, he was working
prefer-
those scrubs.
He was. I do prefer them to not be vampires, but we can make something work. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blood supply arrives. It's vampires trying to like pilfer off the blood. Buffy
Mhm.
interrupts, and then Angel appears out of nowhere and saves the day. They end up.
Well, he assists. He assists.
They save the day.
Yeah.
The
Thank
two
you.
of them collectively
Thank
save
you.
the day. Yeah, sorry if that wasn't
She
clear.
would have been fine without him, but, help is...
Yeah, it was just three of
helpful.
them. It was just three of them. Yeah, she would have been totally fine.
She had an excellent roundhouse kick. That was just... That mobility. Wow.
One of them gets away,
Yep.
but the blood is okay, and that's the big part. And then Buffy is now clear that she's worried that Giles has flaked out on her, particularly when, you little bitch, you told Buffy
Not to be
to
late.
not forget. Yeah, and then
Mhm.
you totally flaked on her. I know he's
Rude as
going through a
hell.
lot, but come here, dude. Put it in
Yeah.
your calendar.
Communication, please. Although I have a question, and maybe you guys can weigh in on this one. Wouldn't they I know that the hospital needs the blood bags, but if vampires stealing the blood bags means that they're not going to go kill a human, isn't that overall a positive thing?
I mean, maybe people still need that for transfusions. So, like, it's still a life for a life in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blood they use in the hospitals is pretty critical.
I feel like Sunnydale should just like have infrastructure for that. Of like they should just be having like weekly blood drives as just like a thing, and then just like, I don't know, some of them don't always make it to the patient, but like, because walking around healthy people need that to live as well.
They
That's
should
true.
just
They need
let
their
a
blood.
vampire run a blood drive for the vampires and keep it separate from the blood donations.
Ooh.
That way, the infrastructure is split. People aren't harmed. I mean, as long as they don't rampage and kill. But like,
Yeah,
Phil,
Maybe.
that's a
like
good idea.
like voluntary blood donors.
there are after Twilight. And I know this is well before Twilight, but people will love to be sleeping with vampires. I'm sure they're like, please drain my blood, give it to a hot dude who has crazy teeth. I would
That
would
is
do it.
And I bet-
an astute.
I bet that the
idea.
vampires are not as bigoted as the FDA in the US and will accept blood from men who have sex with men.
True.
So, I'll
That is
participate in that
interesting.
blood drive.
I've never thought about if bloodborne diseases affect vampires. Does it just taste bad, or like if someone did have HIV or something like that, or like leukemia, if you fed off a cancer patient, would they taste bad? I don't know.
We're gonna start a document of questions that we need the
That we
answer to,
can't,
and
that
then
can't be answered. Dear
and
vampires.
then we'll go back. We'll go back to the list of questions in like a month or two down the road when we've forgotten the context, and we'll be like, why
was I asking?
Why did we?
I
Why-
bet someone out
We were
there
thinking
knows
a lot about
if
vampire
HIV
periods.
blood
Why?
tastes different than regular blood.
Oh,
I bet
okay.
the internet knows.
I
I don't know
hope
if I
that
want
there
to
aren't
Google
that
that.
there aren't that many people drinking blood on a daily basis.
Doesn't have to be
But-
many. It just has to be one. It only takes one. Okay, but
Don't
also
drink blood, kids. Don't do it.
okay.
Go,
so-
Allie. Move us along, please.
So-
Quickly.
So Buffy goes to Giles's place to check on him. Understandably, not everybody is punctual, but Rupert Giles is one of those people. So Giles is not doing well. He barely opens the door. He definitely gives her the brush off. Again, communication. I get not sharing all of this with her, but he still could have said, I got some really bad news. A friend died. Apologies for not meeting you. That was my bad. Take responsibility for your actions, people. But my bigger comment was, because he's like going up to bed. He's clearly not feeling well. We see him splash his face with some water, and he looks into the mirror and is like, oh gosh, something big is coming or whatever. He has a water basin, like an old-timey, old-fashioned...
In his living room, right?
Water... hard to say. It kind of seemed like it was like in a hallway. I don't know. But it was not a sink. It was like a water bowl, like the old-timey where you'd like fill it with a pitcher. That's so unnecessarily old-fashioned.
I just had the note that we get a sneak peek of Giles' apartment here. One of his lamps with the stained glass looks exactly like decor from Applebee's. I'm perhaps coming out of the closet here as somebody who eats at Applebee's too much, but one time Applebee's had decor that looked exactly like Giles.
Oh, that hanging lamp. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not sure if I should be proud I remember that.
I mean, I
feel
know.
validated.
I know what you were talking about as well. I definitely get that. I get that picture in my head. Although his was probably like a really, really nice, like Tiffany lamp. Probably not exactly the same as the stained glass in Applebee's.
Yeah, this is the point at which I wrote down this question. So we're back in the morgue, and Philip wakes up, our friend here. I didn't put together that his name was Philip, and we were having Phil on as a guest here. What was this experience like for you, Phil?
I feel attacked. I feel slandered, disrespected. No, I mean, it's nice when people on TV say your name. It's not very common. I know. I mean, I prefer good guys or, some with like redeeming value, but like, I guess his worst trait was that he was a dumb kid who summoned a hell demon. I mean, that's not that bad.
As one does.
That's true.
Who hasn't been there?
Yeah, definitely a very not too thinly, not very thinly veiled metaphor here of like your past mistakes coming back to haunt you and that kind of thing. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, they never explain what triggered this round of possessions.
Okay, thank you. I wrote down that question. What has our buddy Eyghon been doing for 20 years?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought I had missed something.
No, I was waiting the whole episode for it, and they don't say why. It's just...
I thought they sort of explained, because like they released him and couldn't contain him or something, and then they tried to exorcise him and it didn't work. I just kind of assumed he hopped from person to person or animal. Can he do animals or like...
Ooh,
I don't know.
I have a note about that in my research.
No, but if he was coming after other members of the group, then this whole trigger sequence of events would have happened.
Oh, a while ago.
Yeah, he can't. There's no way he was hot. Well, I don't know how his dormancy works or whatever, but he must have been somewhere the last 20 years other than body hopping through their friends, because there's only like 5 or 6 of them, so they would have died a while back.
I wonder if it's implying that one of them wanted to experience that high again, because didn't they like really enjoy the euphoria or whatever?
Yeah, I think that plays into the again that overall metaphor of like, experimenting in your youth, highs, drugs, that kind of thing. So I guess one of them, quote unquote, relapsed. And then that triggered stuff. But again, they could have been clearer. They definitely could have been clearer.
I didn't think of it as I know they talked about the euphoric feeling of the possession, but like moving past just your the idea of your past mistakes coming to haunt you, but this being like a drug and addiction of something that like, oh, these people have been dealing with burying this down for 20 years and someone just finally snapped and was like, I have to have my fix again. That's interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't have even thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you were getting at, Phil. I had that moment, whereas you were talking, that's what because I hadn't thought about it that way either. It is interesting to me. I couldn't figure out. Okay, so as the episode goes on, it's clear that, I think it's clear that like Eyghon is a metaphor for when they talked about euphoria, I thought that it was a metaphor for drugs, but there's like a lot of risky behaviors that could be a metaphor for. I don't know. This isn't. I have questions about.
I was definitely thinking drugs, like the hard stuff. Like he ran with a rough crowd in the city. They used to all whatever was popular in the 80s in London, whatever hard drug was popular then. Because it talks about seeing, one of their friends then at the time died of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it seems like that kind of, and some people stick with it. Some people stay in the life. Some people work really hard to get out of the life like Giles did.
At this point in the episode, so Philip wakes up. He's shoved the nice man who is coming around checking the bodies back into something himself. At least he didn't
kill him. Him just being shoved in that locker is not going to kill him.
It wasn't the worst thing.
I mean, traumatic still. I'm not saying it's stuff I would elect to happen to me, but I was like, okay, he didn't rip his head off. That's nice.
Aren't those freezers, though?
Yes.
To keep the body cold?
Yes.
Do you think that's cold enough to kill him, or just...
Eventually.
Okay.
But, like, his arm, he'll probably be bruised up, but, like, theoretically, his arms were enough that, like, he could at least bang on the door and hopefully someone else would hear.
Gotcha.
Yes, eventually, if he was left in there, dehydration, starvation, cold, all those things. But I think for the time being, he absolutely could survive, as long as someone came to let him out.
Nice little coroner. I hope you're thriving. So they're at the school for the remedial session, and Buffy comes in. And Xander has this funny moment. He says, "Sit here, Buffs. Demilitarize the zone between me and Cordelia." And then Cordelia responds, do you have this written down, Ellie?
No, I have the quote that Jenny says before that Xander reacts to.
Oh, what is it?
She says, so Jenny's getting started with the class of the day. And she goes, so the first thing we're going to do is, and then Buffy walks in and she goes, Buffy. And Xander looks up, did I fall asleep? Because he hears them talking about going to do Buffy. Yeah.
So Buffy says that she's actually there to talk to Jenny, not just to hang out with her friends.
Wait, but what does Cordelia say after Xander says demilitarize?
Yeah. Xander's like, demilitarize the zone. Cordelia goes, yeah, and de-louse him while you're at it. She's fighting words, implying he has a lice infestation. So Buffy is raising concerns about Giles, and she says, I think he might have been. She pauses dramatically, and she goes, I think he was drinking. And can I just say, okay, it probably would have been jarring for me. There's a lot that would have been jarring about this. Should I go to my teacher's house? But I just finished a glass of wine, kids.
Okay, but someone who sees you at the door, if you answered the door right now, would someone be able to smell that one glass of wine on you?
No.
He was drinking enough that she could smell it. That's the thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote.
Thought she's
he
being
had a drink.
totally
Say it ain't so.
Such a narc. Come on, Buffy.
Yeah.
God.
He's having a drink. Yeah. No, you're right. You probably shouldn't be able to smell it on him. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Xander says, I knew this would happen. Nobody can be as wound, as straight and narrow as Giles without a dark side emerging. He's kind of not wrong in this case.
Yeah, I wrote that quote down too. That's a good point, Xander.
And then fucking Cordelia has withheld some information.
Yeah. Before that, I just wrote, like, so it's conveniently just Xander and Cordelia that need remedial computer science. Come on, gang. But anyway, yes. But yeah, Cordelia has left out that, there were police talking to Giles in the library. I don't know. Didn't think it was important.
I put down that quote too, because that seems like something I would have said in my younger days, because I was a little bit airheaded. Just be like, he was fine. He was just talking to the police. It's no big deal. I think something about murder, whatever.
Oh, sweet innocent Phil, we love you.
And then Xander gets in a very nice jab of like, of course you wouldn't, because it had nothing to do with you. Must not be important.
So
Speaking
Buffy's like,
of
okay.
tension between characters, these two are at each other's throats this episode.
They sure are.
I don't know. Seems a bit fishy.
That's an Easter egg for anybody. Okay. So Giles or Buffy says, okay, it's time to call Giles. She goes into the library and there's a shadow. There's a dude creeping. So she goes to check it out and she is
This is the
sneaking
deepest we've
behind
ever
and-
been in the library.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And
I've
possibly
seen-
ever will be.
We've seen people run into it, but we've never seen it ourselves. Yeah. So there is, Allie and I were just on another podcast that is going to be out at this point. So that's going to be fun. By the time this launches, Buffy Gaze, we love you.
Hi, Buffy Gaze. Thanks for having us on.
We talked about on the podcast with them how the library always seemed a little underwhelming. And okay, so the library is bigger
than we thought.
We thought it was, yeah.
Yeah. And then we
There's
get
a joke to be made.
Yeah.
Somewhere here. Keep going.
And then we get our old friend Ethan, who is the jerk you love to hate. He's got such a punchable face.
So Buffy recognizes him and says, "You sold me the dress that for Halloween and nearly got us all killed."
But you
And
looked
he goes,
great.
He's gay, right? We know that.
Yes. I definitely got gay vibes.
Right?
So in a previous episode, when we talked about Halloween, we talked about like Giles and Ethan have totally touched each other's dicks. Like,
Oh yeah, they totally
definitely during this demon summoning and stuff. So I don't
Phil
know.
said they've totally fucked.
I don't know if Ethan is specifically gay. I feel like he's maybe more no specific preference. I feel like he's more fluid than just gay.
I didn't pick up on this queer coding
No, neither did I.
my first time watching it.
No, neither did I.
Phil, was this clear to you?
I just because I want everything to be gay.
Fair.
Cheers.
Fair.
But I don't know. He had a little movement. He's more fluid than like the rigor of what you assume heterosexual men move like.
That's a good point.
But also,
Yeah.
British people seem gay all
mean-
the time.
Yeah, I mean, 100% queer, for sure. I can definitely agree with that.
He seems very snaky, kind of smarmy. So I wouldn't be surprised that he uses his seduction to like move between genders to get what he wants. And less so because he finds it fun, but it's like he gets the thrill and what he wants.
Yeah, like it's a tool for
Mhm.
manipulation. I can see that for sure. Yeah. That all feels very, very Ethan. But then, as he's trying to run away out the library, Cordelia kicks him. Loved that. Good job, Cordy.
Yeah. So at this point, Philip has burst through the window, and yeah, Cordelia has that badass moment. Philip has clothes on now, which is a good thing.
Yes.
That he did not have on before. And yeah, this moment where Cordelia knocks Ethan down is pretty sweet, especially because Xander was not able to do the same.
Yeah. And the cage saves the day again. Thank goodness for that cage.
I had a note about the cage actually. Like, it's really intensely secured. Every time I return a book, I just put it on my librarian's desk, and she was like, "Okay, thanks, leave."
Yeah.
There was never anything like that in our libraries. I was curious if you guys have ever seen anything like that.
I mean, there were definitely, not in any of our libraries, I could conceive of like a really big, like the New York Public Library, or like in DC, the big public library. I can see where there would be like special editions of something that they would keep only for like PhD students for research and stuff like that. But not in a high school, not in Sunnydale. So I don't know. I don't know why they had that. I mean, I can see where Giles would have special editions that he doesn't want just anybody reading. But again, why would the Sunnydale Library have that? I don't know. I just know that it's a damn good thing that they do.
It's useful. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's gonna come in handy as we move forward too. So at this point, Philip is locked in the cage. Ethan is kind of subdued. Giles arrives, and he and Ethan are being like, they got this whole like side conversation happening that nobody else can exactly pick up on, which just added to my preconceived notion that these dudes have done things in a sexual sense.
Yep.
Go, Phil.
Oh, I was just going to say, the way he grabbed his hair, I was like, you've done that before. You are a pro at this.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He knew exactly what to do. I was like, okay, Giles, I'm sold. I'm done.
That action was a little too natural for you. Yeah.
Phil was like, Giles, I also summoned Eyghon.
Oh, no. Yeah. I love Cordelia says, why did he call him Ripper? And then Giles like yokes up Ethan, shows, oh.
So I'm skipping over a lot of great quotes.
I was gonna say
anybody.
Cordelia saying, I'm gonna be in therapy till I'm 30. Aw, sweetie. You're gonna be in so much longer.
Yeah. As somebody who's approaching 30 with no plans of stopping therapy anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very
I told my
sweet.
therapist about this podcast.
Aw. Hi, Nick's therapist. I hope you're listening. Hi, my therapist, if you're listening. My therapist is really nerdy, so there's a really good chance she's listening. Hi, Michelle.
Well, I doubt she would tell you. Maybe she could tell you. Maybe she'd tell you. I don't know.
I think she would tell me. I think
Michelle, you can message me on Instagram. I won't tell Allie, but I'll know that you listen.
I think she would tell me if she did. But yeah. Anywho. So Jenny gets knocked out when the guy's trying to get away. And they don't know that she's infected yet. And Giles is comforting her and stuff. And I wrote down, I bet Giles' blazer smells so good.
Library musk plus manly sweat. Yeah.
And tweed, and like the smell of tweed. And library musk, tweed, and whatever cologne he puts on, because I'm sure he's, a very well-groomed man. Yeah, I bet it smells really good.
God, Jenny, you fucking bitch.
That old library smell, like the old books, it's one of my favorites. Just sends you back.
I got a candle one Christmas that it was supposed to smell like Sunnydale Library.
Oh no.
It did not smell good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you had one job, which was to smell like old books, and they completely missed the mark. Like I couldn't even burn it at all because it just smelled terrible. It's very disappointing.
Just a piece to look at, maybe. At this point, Ethan has somehow managed to run away. He does that a lot.
He's
Giles
slippery. He's slippery.
He's slippery like a snake. I think Phil used that imagery to describe. No, you said smarmy. No, you said snake.
I think he said
I said smarmy and snake-like.
Smarmy and
exactly.
And snake-like. Yeah. So that fits for him. That's poignant. That's true.
Thank you.
Giles is still being weird. He leaves with Jenny. Buffy is ordering the Scoobies to do various research tasks.
Yeah, like hell you get to tell her it's private. Shame on you, Giles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not after, like, everything that just occurred means it doesn't get to be private anymore. It just came for us at our school. No, fuck you. No.
On top of that, they're teenagers. Who do teenagers listen to? They don't listen to anybody. She's going to do whatever she wants, regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah, he says to stay out. Okay, that's how you get a teenager to not stay out.
To 100% metal. Yes.
So they give their tasks, or Buffy gives the task to the Scoobies. Cordelia demands to be included, which is adorable.
So sweet. She cares about Giles. Aww.
It is very cute. We got proof. We have proof, folks. And then we cut to Giles' house where he is with Jenny. If somebody is suspected as having a concussion. Don't give them alcohol.
Definitely
Not a
not.
good idea. But I bet Eyghon possessed Jenny, demanded some booze. But just PSA for our friends, don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't. Not good for your head.
They have an interesting exchange here, Giles and Jenny. Giles feels bad for putting Jenny in harm's way, and Jenny's like, yeah, it happens when people are involved. Things, happen.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder at this point, is that Eyghon saying that, or is that Jenny saying that?
I just assumed it's all Eyghon.
It's all Eyghon?
Mm-hmm.
It's sweet, though. It's kind with what Jenny says.
I think Eyghon, there's still a bit of the person before it completely takes over. So it kind of felt like at this moment it's both. Like maybe it's Eyghon who's making her seem cooler with this situation than she is, but it also sounded like something Jenny would say.
What do you think, Phil?
I'm in mostly agreeing. Oof, if I can speak English. It seemed like it would be something she said, but Eyghon is like, I want you to manipulate him. So it's like using her strengths against him to get Eyghon's objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the library, Willow has a breakthrough here. I have this quote written down. I thought it was funny. She says, she's talking about the tattoo. She says, it's not Egyptian, it's Etruscan, mistaken for Egyptian by the design pattern. But any fool can see it predates their iconology. Yeah, any idiot would know that.
Duh. Come on. Did we already see the rocker Giles shot? Excellent picture. I love that. That leather jacket and the earring. Yeah. I know we already talked about it, but yeah.
Xander brings it out. Yeah, he looks sexy there.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. I feel like Buffy is more upset at the way Giles is handling this and keeping it from her than that he used to double with a demon. I feel like the show sort of like makes it about the like, oh, I can't believe he was once a stupid child, or like it's hard for me to believe he was once a stupid child. I'm like, I think it's more of him shutting her out than the fact that like, oh, you did drugs, you dabbled with demons, whatever.
Which is back to themes that we explored in Lie to Me, too, where the whole idea is like, oh my God, yes, Sammy, I'm also offended by people lying. I'm very sorry, friend.
Sammy's very sensitive to lying.
It's 40 minutes past her dinner time. Yeah, the whole point or one of the big themes in Lie to Me was like, just tell me, and then we will work with it, but you have to tell me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. My next
So they are still in the library. They're learning more about Eyghon. Giles and orgies are specifically referenced.
Yep.
Specifically, it is canon
Yep.
that there were orgies involved here.
Yep. Their little group of Eyghon fans were hundo P sneaking off and having orgies.
I mean, as any other 20-year-old does on their free time, just slinging around with dark arts and orgies. I don't know. I did the same thing.
Yeah, Nick, you remember those? You remember those times? Yeah, all the time. Yep.
I don't. Actually,
we have definitely discussed on previous episodes how we had comparatively.
I went
boring.
A different way with that, but
yeah.
Go off. Yeah.
We did not. Maybe our orgy days are still to come, Nick.
Who knows? Yes, Phil.
Yeah, are you a fan of our orgy days are still to come?
Yes, everybody deserves them at least once in their life. Have fun, be free.
Yeah, we'll see. Might have to take some planning. My other half did have a wild 20s and did tick that box off. So we do not have the same boxes, but
you just called him out.
I did. I mean, like, good for him. I mean, but yeah, he had a more exciting 20s than I have.
I'm going to move us along. They are back at Giles' apartment. And Jenny is full on possessed at this point. She rips the phone out of the wall.
Mhm. Which is definitely a sign that she is fully possessed. Not just the fact that she's doing it, but also the fact that she's able to do it. Because I don't know if you've ever tried to yank a phone cord out of the wall. It's not easy.
Yeah. Possessed Jenny makes a move on Giles. And Giles says no. He's not going to take advantage of her in her weakened state. I'm not going to say what the thought that just occurred to me because that's problematic. And at this point,
it's problematic that you didn't say it, in my opinion.
Eyghon takes over. Eyghon's voice comes out and says, "You just don't change, do you?"
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating to me that Jenny kisses Giles, but Eyghon's voice is very masculine here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is very queer.
Yeah. But also interesting, it's a little more, we can infer a little bit more information because Eyghon says, you just don't change. And even says a little bit like, oh, it might be dangerous. Someone could get hurt. And so it sounds like though he, was running with this bad gang, maybe he was still even then comparatively like the responsible one.
Comparatively tame compared to the others.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
that.
he insisted everyone in the orgy had wore condoms or something.
Here's a tray. I brought fruit, snacks, and condoms. Take one.
Everybody hydrate.
Everybody hydrate. Yes. That would be me if I hosted an orgy. I would have snacks. Everyone. There would be ample blankets and pillows. Yeah.
No, there's not any blankets. That's going to get messy. Yikes.
That's what laundry's for.
Have to take them to the dry cleaner, to the laundromat.
Anywho.
So Eyghon's about to attack Giles, but Buffy arrives just in time, and then Eyghon leaves, jumps out a window, and says the same thing that Ethan said at the end of Halloween in his note. Eyghon says, "Be seeing you."
Yeah, I did kind of notice that. Also, this show and people jumping out of windows. Windows are just not safe in this show.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like jumping through the window like that. It's so good. I love that. It's so silly.
Could have dashed right on through. Man, you're gonna cut yourself. Those are expensive to replace. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Jenny's probably feeling that jump through the window the next day.
So, at this point, this is where I have the questions that we already kind of explored. So, Eyghon is going to kill all of them one by one, right? All of them in the little crew that tempted Eyghon or channeled him or whatever. What was the end game for the young people? Like, did they know these? No, that's part of youth, right? You do things you don't necessarily know what the consequences are going to be.
I don't know how they bottled him up after these summoning sessions, because the purpose was to be possessed temporarily and feel the high and the euphoria and the power and all that. But I don't know how they like drugs wear off. I don't know how, and clearly it can jump bodies and stuff. I don't know. They clearly do not explain a lot of these mechanics.
I was curious if he got a strong enough host, the body would just remain. Like if he were to actually possess Buffy as a Slayer, could it contain him, sort of thing? Could
he just chill out in that body?
Phil, that's a fascinating question.
Interesting. Yeah.
So Giles is very distraught because he doesn't know how to get rid of Eyghon without killing Jenny. He feels horrible. And Buffy finds her way back to the Halloween store where Ethan is, and she's going to protect him because she's trying to protect Giles. So they both
And Willow has a plan. They know that that's where Eyghon's going to come next. And then Buffy makes a questionable choice. Ethan says something about I have this back here or whatever. and he like gestures for her to go first. I would never turn my back to Ethan Rayne. Come on, Buff. Come on. No, that's when you go, you're going first. Yeah, I want to keep my eyes on you.
I don't disagree in
But
the least.
also, he hits her. Yeah, I don't disagree. Don't do that. He hits her with like a statue across her shoulder blades or something.
I think it was her head.
I think I paused and rewound.
Well, I also think I saw her stab a vampire in the rib cage earlier this episode, so...
Fair enough. I was making the point that Ethan's a little bitch, and there is no way that would have knocked out our Buffy.
I did have that thought of how great would it have been if it, like, knocked her and, like, made her stumble, but then she turns around and goes... Excuse me. Oh, I love this quote from Ethan, which is why he ends up being likable when he comes into the episodes. He says, "I actually kind of like you. I just like myself a lot more." Fair. Honestly,
relatable.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ethan, I kind of like you a lot too. I do like Buffy more, but you are pretty great. He says a line earlier in the show too. He's like, I'm many things, but I'm not a liar. So he says, like, I'm not a liar. Oh, actually, I am. He didn't lie here. He's, like, totally honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems pretty clear most of the time that he's not a good guy.
Oh, yeah. He is who he is, and he does not pretend to be anything else, except when he's pretending to just be a costume shop owner.
Kind of Brian Kinney vibes for our queer as folk watchers.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that one. Yeah, so Ethan ties Buffy up, hoping to sort of sacrifice her to Eyghon. Is that sometimes I know there's like the mechanics of the story, but like why is that rope holding her?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You don't need that dislodged screw to get through that rope. We know you don't.
Like,
Her tattoo also heals in like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we know that Ethan dabbles in magic, so like
that's a sketchy, like homemade tattoo as well.
Right.
That's not. There has to be magic involved there because that's not healing that quick.
She also uses her allowance to pay for getting the tattoo removed. What is your allowance, Buffy Summers? I mean, I don't know what that costs, but it's got to be more than allowance money. Anyway,
it's still expensive to this day. So
right,
Yeah.
so Eyghon shows up, spooky green light effect at the door.
And where is the light from?
Shh, it's spooky.
Okay. Yes, you're
It's
right. It is
atmospheric.
from its eyes.
spooky alien vibes. Yes. Yeah. Maybe from the eyes. Maybe you're right.
No, he made a stop on the way to the costume shop and picked up some little footlights.
He's like, I need this to do that. At this point, girl is ugly.
Yeah, we've seen the transition, which is cool.
So they're fighting. Giles arrives. Giles offers himself to Eyghon, and just as Eyghon is about to be like, "Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we'll do that." Angel runs in, and they start this little wrestling match here.
Yeah, Willow had a great idea.
I thought it was smart that
Brilliant
Willow was
lady.
the one who explained to Giles, because kind of like in that moment, who is like the clear conscious or like clear head one, someone who has a precise plan and can say it eloquently. It's definitely gonna be her. He's gonna believe her.
Yeah.
You know, Xander ran and was like, wait, no. He's like, wait, fuck off. So I feel like it was the right character to choose to do this action. I just really appreciated it.
Totally. This has been something that I've been noticing more in this run through and through this podcast. Willow has authority that I don't know why I never really gave her credit for before. But yeah, she has some absolute like command and authority. It's great.
Yeah, we see it in this episode too. Xander and Cordelia are squabbling, and she's like, "If you're not with me 110%, get the hell out of my library." And earlier on this season, she has a come to Jesus with Angel and Giles, and she does have some informal authority.
And
Totally the
just
person
on Halloween, she's the one who takes charge, not the military guy. She's the one who takes charge.
Yeah, definitely the right person in that situation to be able to tell Giles what's up.
Yeah. And so then we have this inner battle where I guess Angel's inner soulless vampire defeats Eyghon. Is that what happens here?
That's how they explained it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't leave me feeling like he's gone.
Yeah. But then where does he go?
I have trivia for that when we get to but it left me feeling a little unsatisfied. There's some cool effects there that happen with the wrestling and the like superimpose and you see Angel like his face contort and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like a little like, oh, okay.
Well,
okay, I guess we're done.
And I guess it does have a cool speak to Angel's strength because like clearly he does have a very strong will, which is cool. But it did kind of feel like, and this was my problem with Charmed for anybody. Sorry, listeners who are fans of Charmed. They would spend this whole episode like finding what the right spell was and blah, 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 blah. But then it would all be over so quickly. They would do the spell and then it's done. And then we all go home happy. And it was very quick for the lead up.
It definitely felt not unfinished, but like not fully settled when everything was said and done. It also made me kind of wonder. I know that like Angel's been alive for so long, and like, yeah, I guess that makes your inner demon super powerful, and also you worked really hard to contain it. But also, bro, what's in you? Like, what hell map is inside you?
Good point. Good point. Like, woof.
yeah, you just killed that thing in like
Yikes.
Relative
10
ease.
seconds flat. Yeah. Oh, maybe you need to go to therapy. Okay, so
next day,
Demon vanquished, good shit. Yeah, Ethan runs away. Giles guides Jenny's out. Xander gives Willow some credit at school the next day, which is very timely. Xander says, putting that demon into Angel was pretty brill, Will. And it was. I think Willow's the hero of this episode.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
For sure.
So kind of an uncomfortable tension between a very different kind of tension between Jenny and Giles. Clearly she is still very shaken up from everything that's been going on with the whole Eyghon situation. I noted they had some very nice, subtle, tired makeup on Jenny. It's just a kind of a little shadowy around the eyes. Clearly, she's still recovering. Thought that was nice.
What did you guys think of like the fact that she didn't have any like arm or handprints on her neck or anything like that? Because in my mind, you know, Angel is threatening this demon enough to have it want to leave the body, so it's being morally threatened, but he leaves no mark on her. So it's either Angel is like very precise, or I don't know. I'm not. I couldn't quite put those two things together in my mind.
It's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. That is a really good point.
I think that's an oversight. Yeah, because the damage would be to the host's body, not to Eyghon.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, she was wearing long sleeves and like a long skirt, so conceivably she could be covering up the cuts from jumping through a window. But yeah, she should be in like a turtleneck or some kind of scarf the same way that Buffy is to cover up her tattoo. I mean, I guess like theoretically she could have covered it up with makeup, but then she also could have covered up those bags under her eyes.
That's true.
I think you found an oversight, Phil. I think you did it.
Yeah, definitely. Although
You'll get a certificate in the mail.
I was a little disappointed in Jenny. And I know that like sometimes we react emotionally in ways that we wouldn't expect, but like she's the one who keeps inserting herself with the Scoobies. Like, I don't know why it almost seems like this whole like the fact that she didn't come out unscathed surprised her. But maybe being possessed is a little different. I guess that's not fair for me to say, because probably being possessed is a lot more than simply like being in a fight with vampires. It's more of an invasion.
Oh, that's
Yeah, just answered my own question.
yeah. It's a little kind of like I hate to say it this way, but like similar to like sexual assault in the sense that like
Yeah,
you had
you
no
can say it.
control and being able to not face the person who was did not hurt you but was involved in some way in that incident. At first, I was a little like she seems a little harsh on him, but now it's like,
Right.
oh, actually, no,
Yeah.
she's right.
Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, no.
And when it was largely avoidable, well, I don't know if it was all the way avoidable, but like like there were definitely some. I can see her. I was also like, this is the line we're drawing, Jenny. This is a line too far, but all the other shit we've seen was
Right.
fine. But I think there is, there might be something uniquely like violating about being possessed, and then also his shit communication along the way.
Yeah. Because
May not
again,
help.
kind of,
And he takes complete accountability.
He does, absolutely. But again, I feel like the same way that it seems like they pointed to the wrong thing for her being upset. Like the same way that Buffy wasn't upset that like he had that Giles has a past. It was that like he kept hiding things from her. So I don't think Jenny was upset that he never brought up Eyghon. They haven't been, I mean, they're not even like officially together. They've been on some dates. So I don't think she was upset that he didn't talk to her about that part of that part of his life. I think it's more that like, I just went through some trauma and I'm going to need some time. And you were very central in that trauma.
I co-sign.
Spot on, Ellie. Agreed all the way.
Thanks. I do love the exchange between Giles and Buffy. Because again, he does take accountability, which we love. We love taking accountability on Tabula Rasa. Buffy says, I'm so used to you being a grown-up, and then I find out that you're a person. And he says, most grown-ups are. So I thought that was a lovely exchange in both directions of her saying, wow, I wasn't giving you credit. And him saying, yeah, I did not handle this well.
Yeah, I feel like some adults in my life, I knew as a high schooler, I knew before I was in high school. They are definitely people and make mistakes abound. There are some adults, though, that it was a surprise where I was like, oh, damn. You don't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely had a teacher who screwed me over in high school and 100% did not take accountability for that. And I will always be bitter. You know who you are. You know what you did.
I can think of a few.
Oh, you know. I'll tell you off mic.
I think we've talked about them.
Oh, we've talked about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But this is nice continued development. Like, there have been a few episodes now back to back where the relationship between Buffy and Giles, we can see it kind of moving past just transactional Slayer-Watcher kind of thing. And there's a lot more fatherly energy.
I don't know how you could not bond that way with your Watcher. I mean, it's just especially the way it sounds like previous Slayers have been isolated. That is like your only family.
I enjoyed that that conversation to just kind of piggyback off what you're saying. It's like it wasn't just like fatherly to daughterly kind of vibes. It was also like peer to peer. We went through something very strange and weird, and this took me down a peg. And I appreciate you for giving me grace to be in this space. And Buffy didn't like deride him for it. She was just like, cool, let's build up, let's pack up, let's move on, you know?
Yeah. And then she did something that I think is really lovely that I think some people struggle with when they're moving on in a tough time is the difference of things. Like when you're in a very stressful, different time, feeling like things are out of the usual, out of normalcy. And Buffy does a very intentional return to normalcy of, all right, so I guess we'll train. And look, I brought my music. Come on. What do you have to say about my music? And he's like, oh, God, it's horrible. And she's like, yeah, that's the spirit. And then go back in. Thought that was really lovely.
Such a lovely olive branch.
Mhm.
She's like, I moved on. We're
We're
good.
good.
You're fine.
Yep. Let's treat today like it's a normal day. Yeah.
Okay. The piece of trivia that I've built up here, and Allie, you can cut this out. It's a spoiler related to the comics. I have not read the comics, and
Interesting.
I think we can set that boundary that we can talk about comics.
Yeah, we can talk about the comics.
Within reason. There's within reason. Apparently, in the comics, Eyghon did not die here. Eyghon was expelled from Angel's body into the body of a rat.
Oh.
So, Phil, when you asked about, when you were saying before, like when we were talking about, oh, what's happening in this time between, like maybe Eyghon is just jumping from body to body to body to body to body, and has now only 20 years later made it back to the crew.
So he was jumping this whole time, but it was to animals.
It seems like there's some controversy over how canon the comics are. I don't really know. I haven't dug into the drama.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, because there's a definitive continuation of the series in what they call as like the season 8 of the comics. That it picks up after season 7, and everything in the 7 seasons is canon, and everything is accepted, and the story progresses from there. But there were comics way before that that I don't know whether if they're canon or not. Buffy was my first comic that I ever got, but it was a random Thanksgiving episode issue thing. A lot of the comics, it kind of seems like they're not canon. Like a lot of them are sort of side stories or origin stories that they don't contradict anything.
That's very comic book adjacent though. Like,
yeah.
I mean, sure, Marvel resets its universe, but technically everything still kind of happened. So.
Right. Yeah. So it's not nearly as dissected as a lot of superhero stuff where people are like, oh, well, this was this version and blah, 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 blah. And so we're dealing with this version. We're dealing with Earth 414 and blah, blah, blah. So it's not nearly as specific as that. So I think it's perfectly fine to use. I think that's really helpful to use that side story for Eyghon. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because where do you do things like this? They were probably out in the woods in some clearing. So if it had already been in all of them and all of them were conscious when that person died or whatever, it would not be able to jump to one of them because it has to jump to a dead or unconscious person.
Yeah.
So some sleeping.
We like it and we're going with
thingamabob. Yeah, I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are our closing thoughts that we haven't shared so far?
Oh, I had a question that we didn't get to. Did you ever play Anywhere But Here? If so, what was your go-to?
Phil, you go first.
I had to look that up to make sure it was the actual game. I thought they made it up. But if I had to pick one now, it would be Berlin with in the Eagle with Trent Reznor.
Oh yeah. With who?
Trent Reznor. Lead singer, 9 Inch Nails with a tree trunk neck.
Oh.
Wait, sorry. Should I say my husband? My husband's there too.
Nah, this is fantasy.
Trent Reznor. Oh, he does have a tree trunk of a neck.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a tree trunk.
Very broody.
I have a type, you know.
Very, yeah.
As a
Ryan's not broody. Ryan's adorable.
As a firm team angel, I
bubble.
I can get on board with some brood.
Ryan's not broody, but everyone else I dated before him was. The exception that gets you.
Oh, I miss you, kids. I want to see you again soon.
That's fun.
Mine would be Anywhere with Chris Evans.
Solid.
Yeah.
Fine, but yeah.
Which version? Him from a certain movie or just him in general?
All of the above.
Real life Chris Evans, you would totally vibe with because he's a total social justice warrior.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Isn't his brother is gay too? I think, right? Or is that Chris Pine?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. That's fun.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, cool.
Lovely.
I have to think about that. I thought about writing down that question, but then I realized I didn't have a great answer to it, and I felt like I couldn't ask it without having a great answer in mind. So
Fair. I don't quite have a solid go-to the same way that that Xander does, because I like to switch up my fantasies. Somewhere. Oh, I would love to be in the south of England, in Cornwall. Who am I crushing on these days? Forever Bay, Zac Efron. So Zac Efron, we're enjoying pasties in Cornwall, walking on the beach.
Great choice.
Thank you. That was, I think, the first person when Nick came out to me. I was like, okay, so what do you think of these people? What do you think of Zac Efron? He was like, yeah, he's hot.
I remember that text conversation with you, Allie. You asked me about the Jonas Brothers too.
Oh my God, that so dates that time period that I went
Yeah.
Zac Efron and Jonas Brothers. That means it could not. I mean, I know that it was our freshman year of high school, but that so specifically dates that time period. That's so funny.
Oh my God!
What a
Wait,
time.
What a time.
how much older am I than you guys? Because that High School Musical came out, I think, when I was a senior in high school.
We were
Yeah,
in
we were-
sixth grade.
No, we
Yes,
weren't.
we were. Don't
You
you,
were a senior?
don't you dare
Fair enough.
question
Fair enough.
my High
Fair
School Musical knowledge.
Phil, how old are you? Are you older than Paul?
Yeah, I'm 32. I graduated in 08, so I'm not sure.
Paul is getting ready to turn
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
29.
Paul's getting ready to turn 32. Yeah.
Paul's a year younger
Okay,
than me.
so younger. Okay, he was. Okay, I'm not doing. I'm
Yeah,
not doing
what
the
year
math
did you
out.
graduate high school?
Oh wait,
Oh, 8.
yeah.
Then you were not a
2008?
senior when High School Musical came out.
What year did it come out?
Because High School Musical 2006.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all a blur now. So.
Ali is like, I can tell you the day. I can tell you.
No, I can't tell you. I can't tell you the day because I wasn't watching Disney at that time, so I missed it. And then I came back from a ski trip, and everybody was talking about it. And then finally, Asha and I watched it after everyone had already gotten over it, and then I was obsessed, and no one cared.
And you remain obsessed today.
And I remain obsessed. ColourPop has a High School Musical collection out right now, so clearly I'm not the only 30-something that is still.
ColourPop is a makeup
yes.
collection thing.
Yes. So
Phil,
yeah,
just I didn't know.
they
they just
isn't
dropped
that-
a makeup High School Musical collection.
Olivia Rodrigo came from the new series or something on Disney. Or High
Yes,
School
High School
something.
Musical, the series.
That's a mouthful.
It's on Disney Plus.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, good for her.
But it is way better than it has any right to be.
Really?
So I enjoy it. It is. Well, I mean, if the original 3 movies were not your cup of tea, I don't recommend jumping in on the Disney Plus series. But if you, like me, enjoy that kind of thing and can, be down for a high schooler's, troubles and tribulations, then it's really good. And the music is really good. And yeah, it took a long time for me to put together Olivia Rodrigo from High School Musical, the series, and her songs that show up on the radio. I was like, oh shit, it's her. Yeah, anyway.
I mean, I watch anime about teenagers religiously, so I can't. This might really be up my alley.
Yeah.
Then it really might be, because the original music that they wrote for the show is really good.
Okay, I'll give
I
it.
think I might sense another podcast. The 3 of us.
Wildcats Forever.
There you go. You have the title already.
Oh my gosh. No, don't put ideas in my head, Nicholas. Anywho. All right. I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Phil. And thank you so much, everyone else out there, for joining us for today's episode. And we hope you'll join us next time, where we'll discuss Season 2, Episode 9, What's My Line, Part 1. Woo, things are heating up.
Things are heating up. This is gonna be good. Yeah, Phil, just want to give such a heartfelt and grateful thank you. You've been such a incredible supporter of us, and we really appreciate it. I love connecting with you on social media, Phil. You post delicious looking food and workout inspiration. Where can people find you on social media, if you're comfortable plugging?
Sure. My Instagram is PABEECHLE, Beachel. And well, actually, I'm not going to give you my Twitter because sometimes I'm a thought. So yeah, IG is good.
I'll retweet something that you just tweeted. Your Twitter is excellent, Phil. You better work it.
Yeah, sometimes I should keep my
Okay,
clothes
so
on.
look out for our Twitter for Phil's for Phil's thoughty Twitter. It's going to be great.
Amazing.
Thank you guys so
Allie,
much
where
for
do people
having me,
find us?
by the way.
Of course. Oh, we love that there are people who were fans enough of the show that like they wanted to be a guest. That's so exciting for us.
The honor is ours.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And folks can find us over email at tabularasabpod@gmail.com. That's tabularasabpod@gmail.com. You can also say hello to us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at tabularasabpod. And we'd be so thrilled if you'd leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. That would be so nice.
Allie, also please plug your social media. You posted on your Instagram this week the most adorable fairy dress at the Renaissance Festival, and I was obsessed with it. You should share with people how to connect with you.
Well, you can find that picture and many others at DaughterPick on Twitter and Instagram, DaughterPick. And you can find me on TikTok at Future Black Cat. And if you wish to throw a few bucks my way, help a young budding artist, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/AlliePress, ALLIEPRESS, or head over to Venmo, Allie-Press.
And all of that, our social media, Allie's social media, Phil's thoughty Twitter will be in the social media handles in the description. I hope everybody has a gorgeous night. It is so delightful to see your faces. Make proud choices.
Yes, make proud choices, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Tabula Rasa, bitches, is hosted by Ali Press and Nick Mercer, with music by Inflaton Cult, artwork by Charlotte Fleming Design, and consultation by Evo Terra.